All right, so we have casting to int. So the problem here is we have a string, but we're trying to do some addition here. We cannot add numbers. We cannot add numbers to strings, right? We have to add strings to strings, which is concatenation. If you're working with numbers, we have to do add numbers to numbers so we can actually do arithmetic operations. So now, since we have this, the 300 within is fine, but it's just a string. So we need to change that from a string into a number. And that's where casting comes into play. So what we're going to do here is instead of just writing this as let me actually change this a little bit so that we have more things to work with. I'm gonna do the way we cast. I'm gonna introduce a new variable here, and I'm gonna call this variable called bonus. So imagine an employee, they get salary, tip, and bonus. So I'll call this bonus, and I will call that bonus to be 70. So they have a bonus of 70, and it's still a string. So how do we change that into an integer? The way we do that is simply going in front and you say int, right? And you cover the whatever string that is you have it with. All right, so this takes that integer, that string that we have in the middle, and it now forces this to become an integer. Very important. So here let me change this for a second to match what we're doing about. So 298, that's an integer. So here I can take a string and make it an integer, but we know there's a difference between an integer and a float, which we talked about a little bit earlier, and I'm going to explain this a little bit more. So I can take this and say int, and I'll make this my int as well. All right, and then I'm going to say int, and I'll make this int as well. So remember, let's just do a recap here. Integer stands for whole numbers. In our basic mathematics, integer stands for whole numbers. So when I come in here and I say take this 900 and make it an int, what does it give me back? Right? It gives me 900. Let me write that here. So it's going to take that 900. It's already integer. It's going to convert into an integer. Nothing changes. It gives me 900. Now I have 299.98. All right. This is not an integer. This is a float, right? Or a decimal. All right. So, but I'm saying take this and make it into an integer. So what am I supposed to get out of this? What Python gives us for this is going to round this up, or it's going to round this to the nearest whole number, and it's going to return that integer for us. So the nearest whole number to this is 300. So it's going to return 300 for us. All right. And then of course in this one, I have 70, which is a string, and I say cast it to an int. All right. It's simply going to take that and it's going to return 70 for us. 70 for us. So if I go ahead and I say print salary plus tip plus bonus, all right, it should be fine now because it has 900 plus 300 plus 70. 900 plus 300 is what? 100 and 1,200 plus 70, right? So 1,270, right? 1,270. So let's go ahead and run our code now to see what result gets printed. Did I not comment something on my screen? It's complaining about end of line somewhere. Do I need one more quote there? There you go. My quote, my end of comment section there was not good. So this stays the same. So let's just run this again one more time. There you go. All right. So it didn't quite give me what I was expecting, right? And I'm guessing that that issue is coming from our rounding. All right. And we can actually check to see what is being printed. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3. So let's print salary so we can see the exact values. Let's print tip. And let's print bonus. All right, and then at the very end, we're gonna print salary plus tip plus bonus. All right, so actually it rounds down. I think I misspoke on this piece. So the integer here actually rounds down. So instead of rounding up to the nearest integer, it actually just rounds down to the nearest integer. So this gets us 299 as opposed to 300. That's why we're getting this result. All right, but the whole idea is when you convert a float to int, you can actually do it. You can convert a string to an integer. There's a lot of things that you can take and you can convert to an integer. All right, and Python gives us the ability for us to do it. So for example, you might be building an application for to manage tips for your company, and they don't want to be giving tips in pennies or in cents, right? You want to just round everything to the nearest dollar or to the dollar. And so, you can start using the convert function to convert from whatever decimal that you get into a dollar, and then use that in your application. So very, very, very important concept for us to master. Now we're going to go into the next concept, which will show us how to convert or how to cast, right? Casting means converting in programming, how to cast into floats. And that will be our next concept. So let's copy this. 1.2